welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I couldn't tell you. I always try and start that and go episode whatever. I don't know the
Might be
numbers. I think
it
it's
might be 41, I think.
no shot. I thought it was like 36.
No.
Well, regardless, welcome back to the podcast. I hope everyone is having a good or relaxing day. It doesn't even have to be good. It could just be chill and relaxing. We have a few things we want to talk about, and we can just get into it because there's not really much of a preface. I hope everyone's doing good. The weather's getting warmer. If you're in an area that has 4 seasons. So yeah, let's just go right into it. So we'll
Yeah,
start with
before we start, happy Passover and happy coming Easter.
oh yes, yes. Happy Passover and happy coming Easter. You're right. I should have
Yeah.
said that. That was the preface that I was looking for. I don't know why I didn't bring that
Yeah.
up. Yes. Um, so let's start with the Wall Street Journal, which is the article that you sent me. So probably like 5 or 6 days ago, you sent me a article from the Wall Street Journal about job postings. The title of the article was Job Listings Abound, but Many Are Fake. What the article proceeds to go into, Wall Street Journal, is 2 years late since the pandemic. This has been happening, but they decided to write an article about this recently. To summarize the article without going and reading the whole frickin' thing on this podcast, they summarize that the 3 reasons that a lot of these jobs are fake is they surveyed a bunch of recruiters, and the recruiters had said 3 things. One, that they are putting fake job postings out with no intention of hiring people because it makes their companies look like they're growing. And that can mean for startups so they can look like they're growing and get more investor money. That could just mean medium and large companies to look like they're growing. Number two, it could be what they're also doing is using these fake posts and holding them over employees' heads and saying, hey, if you don't work hard enough, we're going to hire someone else to take your place. See, we've already got people. We're already recruiting more people. One of them is going to take your place, so work harder. And number three is they're back pocketing people. So they'll go through 500 resumes for this one position with no intention of hiring them because there's no actual position, but they'll take the top 15 resumes and keep it for when there is a position open. So they're expecting people who are applying to just be open and willing to take the position whenever they want. So those are the top 3 reasons. Now, there's other reasons that are most likely also at play, like PPP loans and skirting around certain things and because these companies were able to work with a skeleton crew for 1.5 to 2 years. They think that they can just keep running their companies like that with this skeleton crew for not enough pay and overworked people. And it's funny because I made a TikTok about that article. And probably like 2 days later, it blows up, gets 200,000 views. I think it's right now at like 240,000 views or something.
Wow.
And a ton of people. Every type of person comes out of the woodworks, right? You get all the people that are supportive and agree, and they go, yeah, it's crazy. I've applied to 300 jobs since this week or in 3 weeks or whatever. Someone said that they applied to 900 jobs in 90 days. So they did 10 jobs a day. And of course, there's other people who are like, well, it's because of where you work. It's because you're not qualified enough. It's because your resume is not good enough. Though every excuse under the sun. My favorite one was some guy who quite literally put a comment directed towards me saying, try harder. And I responded, I said, well, I have applied to 557 of them since last July, the end of July, so really August. And he goes, so it's only 557. Try harder. And I'm like, okay. I don't see what the point of that comment was. Like I not once in the video did I complain about, let's say, how hard it is. I was simply just discussing the article and how like this is a current issue for not just me, but a ton of other people. And so that was my favorite comment. And then I made a second video yesterday talking about my experience because the first video was just about the article and it got 200,000 views and a bunch of people are commenting and sharing their opinions and thoughts. And then I made a video yesterday about my experience applying to 557 jobs in the past 6 months or whatever it's been. That's and my experience is not everyone's experience, and that's why I made a separate video about it. But for reference, I have applied to the 557. I have applied to jobs within my market, outside of my market, in terms of things that I can do, but I didn't go to school for, and things that I went to school for and can do. I've physically gone to places and they've turned me away and said, no, you need to email us your resume. Even though you're right here and I could take it, we don't want it. We need you to email it. I've spoken to a recruiter, a friend of mine whose father is a recruiter, took time out of his weekend for 2 weeks to look at my resume, talk to me, get on a phone call with me for over 2 hours and give me ways to get around the algorithm and the system that the HR people use. And I'm applying to remote, in person, I'm applying to large companies and small companies, startups, all the way up to like Disney. I've had 4 interviews. One of them got me all the way to like round 3, all positive, no constructive criticism, nothing, and then just kicked me to the curb with very little reason why. 2 other companies put me through 1 interview and then said, oh, we'll give you a call. Never gave me a call. I called them and emailed them 2 or 3 times and they ignored everything. So I don't know whatever happened to those companies. But they ghosted me. And out of the 557, 3/4 of them, if not more, haven't even responded. Like they don't respond. They're not even giving me a denial. There's just no response. So,
Peter,
you know,
in Florida, I'm not sure because I was listening to the news, and I think they said, and I could be wrong, that there are 700,000 job openings in Florida. Now, I could be wrong. It could have been 70,000 because I heard it late at night and I was half asleep.
well, no,
But
700,000 would make sense because Florida's got however many million people in it. Florida's got a significantly large population. But the problem is remember this second video about me talking about my experience is right on the toes of, or shall we say the heels of the previous video, which is that jobs are being faked. And a lot of people who have been applying for jobs are like, great, glad you finally caught up, Wall Street Journal. But even so, right, it's not stopping me from applying for jobs. I'm going to keep applying for jobs. I'll just keep pushing. We keep going, whatever.
Or
But
you're
at
gonna
the
have
same
to start
time,
your own company. You're gonna have to
well,
start your own
right,
company.
yeah, of course, but I'm not going to just stop. I'll keep applying, but I'll also work towards starting something. Why not? Because at this point, that seems like the only option. But at the end of the day, the goal was not to bitch and moan. The goal was to share my experience because I've seen a lot of other people talk about their experience. Some guy I saw a couple months ago talk about how he's got 10 years of experience and So, and he worked at a company for about 15 years and they laid him off and he can't get another job. He's got 10 plus years, 10 years or
Yeah.
10, whatever.
Mm.
Can't get a job. So, whatever. But that video also blew up and got to like 150,000 or almost 200,000 views as well. And again, always so interesting how many people are, um, their advice or their attempt at help is either calling out the obvious or um, just being negative for no reason. And by all means, you freedom of speech, say what the hell you want. It's just so strange. Some people are telling me, well, oh, you're doing media, you're doing social media, you're doing PR, journalism, content creation, marketing, and do all, well, that's an oversaturated market right now. Yeah, no shit.
Mm.
We, of course. But when I went to college and I was getting my degree and I decided to go to college in 6+ years ago, didn't know about that. Who the fuck if we didn't know about that. We didn't even, who was going to know that COVID was going to screw everything up? AI was going to emerge and absolutely demolish my industry, and that things like social media were going to become so predominant for markets, uh because they were, right? YouTubers were a thing, Twitch streamers were a thing, but 2015, 2016, that was still like a thing. We've now hit a point where people are making TikToks and they're making a living, and that all happened in between there. So my favorite is the people who try and come at me as if like I knew 10 years ago that this was going to go this way, and I just wanted to go to school for something that I was interested in and thought I could thrive in a career. Uh, but overall, I do find the comments quite entertaining.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's like the same people who told you initially um, not to go to school for that and to come work in a certain area and you know don't do what you want to do. Forget about your dream. Dreams are very important,
well, that's the
and
thing. This isn't a dream. Working, doing this type of stuff wasn't ever a dream. It was in line in the path and direction that I could go, right? Like I know for a
mm,
fact I am not a historian or a teacher or a doctor. I know that about myself. So I went in the path of technology, media, journalism, PR, all of that. That's a wide range. And I
and
just,
you're very good at it. You're very good at what you do too.
well, thank you. But besides the point, I wasn't even necessarily trying to chase a dream for college. I was chasing a stepping stool to get to my dream, which is still possible, right? So at the end of the day, it's water under the bridge. I couldn't give a shit. I'm simply sharing my experience among millions. The fact that these people
Hmm.
feel the need to comment on mine specifically, I appreciate you helping the algorithm. I
But so
appreciate you
what?
getting my video.
What are these people doing that can't get their jobs? Have they said what they're doing because they're also applying and they can't get jobs?
I mean, there's a bountiful a bountiful. There's a slew of reasons why people won't get jobs. Could
That's
be
not my
their,
that's not my question. My question is, did any of these people comment and say, "Well, you know what, Peter, I'm applying, and just like you, I'm not getting responses for the jobs I would like to get. What are they doing in the meantime till they get the job they'd like to get?"
oh, I mean, it's a comment section. People aren't really putting their life story in there, so
Okay.
I don't think anyone's really said that. It depends on the people. Right now, I've seen people for months now talking about how they had to move out of apartments and move back with their parents states away. They've had to get just any job they could find. They had to um and or they're just living off of whatever's in their bank right now, hoping they can get a job before their money runs out. But
Yeah.
because they don't have a family to go back to, or they don't have a job that's willing to give them whatever, right? So bunch of reasons, bunch of
Mm.
different things and experiences for every different person. But I
Yeah.
find it
Yeah.
I always find it interesting for the reactionist people who go, well, just try harder. And I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. I get that. I'm gonna do that. I was already gonna do that. I appreciate the weird advice that was rather than the recognition that this
Yeah.
is a not only a global thing, but specifically a national thing. Across America, this is happening. It's not just me talking about my personal experience and I'm going to be put on the news for it. This has been happening for 2 years now, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's
It's a,
what we should be talking about,
yeah.
not the one kid who talks about it.
Yeah. The problem also resides in my generation and my children's generation, meaning your grandparents, me, and your parents. When we graduated college, we assumed that we would get a job, and we did. And it's very sad. You guys also assumed it would be there for you, and it's not available. And if it's not available because of these false jobs that are being put out on the market, that's disgusting. It's shameful. I remember uh, when I graduated, I had gotten married right away, and I already had my master's degree. Or no, I was finishing up my master's degree, and I looked in the newspaper and I looked for a job. Bang, I got a job, and it was a high paying job right away within 2 weeks. And then naturally, I got drafted. And then I had to go into education because I didn't want to go fight in Vietnam. But getting jobs in my day, especially if you had a college education or a master's degree, it was easy as all hell.
Yeah.
Today, we indoctrinated our children and our grandchildren with the fact that you'll go to college, you'll get a job, you'll earn a good living. And it all comes down to what I've said to you in the past. You don't see it, well, you do see it. Down here, nurses are needed in Florida. There's a shortage of doctors, in Florida. But everybody who thinks they're going to make a lot of money these days are doctors, lawyers, uh, and some nurses, and a couple of Indian chiefs. No, I'm just joking. But um, unless you're a super professional, you're not going to make a lot of money, and the jobs will not be available for you. And the people who say to you, well, try harder, they're probably the people who want to be working somewhere else and took a lesser job because they wanted to say, hey, I got a job. Uh,
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. The people who are making negative comments, whatever the negative comment is, it's a projection of what they're feeling and who they are. So by all means, that's why I don't get bothered by it, because I'm fully aware that they're just revealing themselves to me. Um, as for the one thing I will say about what you were saying is, because I do agree with a lot of it, the doctor thing. Even doctors are having problems right now. I have been reading articles about how doctors, students who are graduating or trying to graduate, you need a certain amount of years of residency, meaning
yeah,
you have to basically do an internship type thing before you can do your own practice or work anywhere as a doctor.
yeah, yeah,
Places
that,
aren't taking residencies. They're just
yeah,
they're just not they're turning students away, whether it's because there's too many or because there's just not like they're not offering. And so students are unable to graduate and unable to become a doctor because they're not taking residencies. So it's the point of the two videos is to showcase that this is a problem. This is a concurring problem and a growing problem within America, but also the globe. I'd say I'm talking less about the globe because I haven't done enough international news about it and research. But I know specifically in America it's happening a lot. So,
Yeah. And you know what's
yeah,
difficult? In in my day, a parent would say to a child, "Okay, look, just be patient. If I can afford to, I'll help you out." Uh, but
parents
today,
can't even afford to help themselves
help
out
themselves
anymore.
out. That is
So
that
they,
is
of
correct.
course, they're not going to help you out.
Yeah, today with the economy the way it is, uh, it's very, very difficult. We're at what we call tilt. We're just at tilt, and that's a very, very big problem. So
So
anyway, you just got to
it's
not
something
get
to look.
discouraged.
Oh no, we just keep going. We steamroll. Um,
Yeah.
the interesting thing though is people are saying it's supposed to get a lot worse. So I'm interested to see where that goes. Um, but
Yeah.
I mean, granted, with the stuff that's going on in America, I of course it's going to get worse. We see how this is going. Um, and before we get into something about Florida, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, which is Twitter. Twitter recently, we all know it's owned by Elon Musk. We know it went from a $44 billion company to it's now about 20 billion. He's constantly losing money and he's constantly trying to look for ways to make money because he's losing crap loads of money a day.
Excuse me. He's only the second richest person now.
Really?
Yeah, he dropped from one to two.
Oh, because of Bezos.
He
There.
dropped because of the money he lost.
Yeah. So, but what he's been doing is he tried to enact this thing where you can pay $8.99 to get a blue check mark next to your name. Now, I think we spoke about this on another episode, but I will be brief. A blue check mark is a form of certification across any platform: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn. Any of these places, they have some form of a certification that says this is the real person. And it's for politicians or famous people. And I say famous loosely because it could also just be someone with a lot of followers that isn't like a actor, but just a public speaker, right? Someone who goes around and does speaking tours, but not a ton of people know them outside of the business. So it's a means to say this is that person. If you're looking them up on Facebook and you see that blue check mark, that means that is the real one. So if someone who doesn't have the blue check mark messages you and goes, "Hey, can you give me $500?" That's fake. That was the intention behind it. When Elon bought Twitter, he removed everyone's blue check mark and gave the ability to get a check mark for $8.99 a month. So you could get a professional certified blue check mark that you originally would have to submit forms for and prove certain certifications that this is your account. This was now $8.99 a month. And when it first dropped, everyone abused the living hell out of it. Someone made an account for the pharmaceutical company that has a chokehold on insulin and said insulin is now free or insulin's now $35 or something like that. And stocks for the insulin plummeted because people thought it was the real company. And they had to come out and make a real statement about it. And it was interesting because after that thing occurred, they ended up having to drop their price because it drew attention to them. Or someone made accounts of other famous people saying really like concerning things. I think someone tried to do one of the foreign countries and talk about nuking another country. And it was just mayhem because there was no way to tell who was the real company and who wasn't, because I could type in LeBron James, make an account for LeBron James, get the blue check mark, and say whatever I want. And someone did that. They said that he's going to leave. They impersonated him and said, "I'm leaving the Lakers," and the media blew up because they thought it was LeBron.
Uh,
So Elon took it away. and reintegrated it, right? He brought it back recently. You can now still get I believe, a blue check mark for $8.99. But there's also the legacy blue check marks, because originally he took away everyone's blue check mark and said if you want it back, it's $8.99. He has now given the old people, like people who were on Twitter before Elon, their blue check marks back for free. And anyone who wants it going forward has to pay $8.99. What he has added is a gray and a yellow check mark. Yellow check mark is for businesses, and it's to certify the business so that you can, what he is panning towards is this idea that if you have it, you can, it'll showcase that your business is a real business and an actual like trying business, and it'll help with networking because companies will see that and go, oh, it's like getting LinkedIn Gold, right? Or LinkedIn Premium, whatever the hell it's called. It's good for networking. Take a guess at how much this damn yellow digital check mark is
Well, you
per
told
month.
me it's 1,000.
$1,000. $12,000 a year, so that your account can have a little butthole with a little check mark on it. And if you have any affiliates associated to your account, it's an extra $50 a month. Now, that is only applicable to companies who have less than a certain following. If you have a certain threshold of followers and engagement on your posts, you'll get it for free. So what Elon is
Very,
obviously
very
doing
complicated.
is doing exactly what the rest of our government system is doing. Socialism for the wealthy and capitalism for the poor. The super, super wealthy, the major organizations like Disney or CNN or Fox News or Trump or anyone who already had the millions of followers and the millions of views and engagement are going to be grandfathered into this. And anyone who's looking to climb the ladder automatically starts with $12,000 in debt a year. And it doesn't,
Except,
and this gold check doesn't give you anything special. Like you don't get free advertising, right? He's not offering with the
mhm.
gold check free advertising space or 5 posts a year on the main Twitter account. Nothing. It is just a gold check mark to certify that your company is dumb enough to pay.
except there are exceptions in Florida, like uh, Disney now is going to have to pay for services
Oh, well,
that
no,
they
that's a yeah, that's about Florida and Rhonda Santis over there.
yeah,
Um,
that's
but
why it's
but
ridiculous.
specifically, every major company and person who has already millions of followers and tons of engagement will get grandfathered into this program for free just because they have the wealth and they have
Yeah,
the already pre-built in audience.
yeah, they have the
Um,
juice.
right. And it incentivizes nothing but stroking the wealth of those who already have it.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that annoys me. So I can't get by on my good looks anymore, right?
well, you could climb the ladder on your good looks. It's just a lot harder.
Yeah,
So, yeah, just figured I would bring that up and talk about
yeah,
how Elon Musk continues to just be an absolute dumbass. And of course, there's going to be companies and people that are going to pay for that gold check mark. And people are going to go, well, he's making profit off of it. So how are you to say? All right. I mean, the man made a company go from 44 billion to 20 billion. He's actively dismantling the app. Um, and he also has made it so that your posts don't get discovered unless you are a blue checkmark person. So the app is
yeah,
pay per use. It's pay to win. It's like a video game where you can play the game, but if you pay us $8.99 a month, we'll give you a weapon that makes every level super easy. That's what he's doing. So
Yeah.
ridiculous, absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Eventually, it's going to put everything on tilt.
oh, of course. And it's Twitter's not like this crazy amazing space anyways. Every app has their sort of pool of people that tend to gravitate towards it. Facebook is the section for families and boomers. Um, Snapchat is for young kids like middle school, high school, and creepy old men. TikTok is sort of a meld of a variety of places because they're the only unique app. Instagram is for millennials and small businesses. And Twitter is where you go to bitch and moan about things. Twitter is where you go to start fights and
Mhm.
bitch and moan. Um, so it just Twitter's not this crazy amazing space, anyways. So the fact that he's causing such issues is it is what it is. Um, with that, we're going to take a quick pause and then we're going to segue to the third topic, which involves Florida, because there's something you have to say and there's something I need to say as well that I want to discuss. So, this next thing is entirely about Florida and Rhonda. I will not call him anything other than Rhonda from now on. Rhonda Santis.
Ron DeSantis, like
Just
Karen, huh?
Yeah, just to spite that bastard. His new name is Rhonda, Rhonda Santis,
Okay.
Santis.
Okay.
Rhonda is his new name. So, anyways, we have a few things to talk about in terms of Florida. Uh, let's go with yours first.
Yeah, let's follow up on what we once said. Now we have guidelines on what books could be used,
Mhm.
guidelines on what educators can teach, guidelines on woke, guidelines on women getting pregnant. I think it was before it was 15 weeks for an abortion. Now it's going to be 6 weeks if it passes. And sometimes you don't even know you're pregnant if it's at 6 weeks. Uh, we may have guidelines on the use of a pregnancy pill. Um, there are factions, like even in my area, Belia Beach, which it's going to get squashed, but 10 people or more cannot congregate without getting a permit, which is, I believe, a violation of one's rights of freedom of speech. And uh, they don't even know why. It's been on the books since 1981, but this has happened in Pennsylvania too, and it's been taken to court by a group, I think FIRE, the group is called. And we have so many things going on that I never anticipated in my lifetime would happen. Everything is changing. And you know what it reminds me of? In George Orwell wrote a book, 1984, where the government took care of everything and you weren't allowed to do anything that wasn't approved by the government. And in some cases, if you were older than 30, you couldn't marry. So right now, we're fortunate everybody can marry, but they're trying to do away with gay marriage. Um, but in some of the books, like 1984 and such, and my favorite one is uh, Irving. What's his name? This Perfect Day. The writer of he also wrote Rosemary's Baby. He writes about you get to be 35 years of age and you're going to go to the Paradise Island because you've reached that age where everybody has getting special privileges, except you're going to be killed. So we don't know where our government, local and federal, state and federal, is are headed. The more control you give to the government, the less control we have. but it's not just the government. Now we got religious parent groups in Florida who are setting the standard for what could be done. And I believe in everybody's rights. I mean, I discussed it with neighbors. Some, are anti-abortion, and that's their right. But we have, I laugh. We got extreme religious groups who believe uh, in God to the extreme, and then they go out on Monday in business and fuck everybody. Excuse my language. I used to know a relative of yours who used to do that. He used to pray and say, God is this and God is that, and go out and fuck everybody. So
Yep.
you could edit that if you want. Um,
No, we don't need to edit shit.
but you know, and excuse my language, I don't use that kind of language, but we have, religious books of people deciding what books should be read. Now, let me make an onus to what I'm saying. I don't believe books with extreme sex should be read to lower grade children. I mean, I was an educator for many years.
Well,
That's up to the
right. But that's just
that
age restricting. That's a
right.
difference, right? You can say, yeah, middle schoolers shouldn't be reading 50 Shades of Grey. But
Yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
mean you ban the book and make it illegal to read the book. You put it
yeah.
behind an age restriction, the same way that you have R-rated movies. Kids can still get their hands on R-rated movies, but legally they can't get it in a movie theater. So they would have to have someone stream it or they would have to buy it on a DVD.
Yeah,
So same thing,
soon,
right?
yeah, soon we'll have groups saying there was no Holocaust. So don't let the kids be taught or read books on the Holocaust,
Well,
that
Florida's
there
already
was,
doing that. They're already saw a couple videos and articles about that. Same thing. They're taking they want to they think that talking about history in such a dreary way is not good. It's not healthy for the kids.
right.
They need to be taught history in a way that presents white people proudly because it seems like history shows them as pretty nasty people across history.
Yeah,
So
and then uh, don't teach about slavery
yeah,
because it makes white students feel badly.
yeah, it makes the
Whereas
white
after,
kids feel like they have to apologize.
yeah, now I have my own viewpoints on it. My viewpoint is any education based on fact is a good education. Okay,
Correct.
as an educator, false education like putting out false jobs is terrible. So if you make up stories about what happened, like if you're going to talk about, well, the Indians attacked Custer and Custer got massacred. We said this in a previous video. Yeah, he got massacred. They don't say how Custer previously went in and killed women and children for no reason.
Right.
So, you know,
Or
we
the
have a,
story of Thanksgiving,
yeah,
or the story of
yeah,
Thanksgiving. Oh, we all sat down and had a nice turkey meal with the Indians. No, we didn't. There was a
yeah.
slaughterhouse that occurred.
Yeah, so I think that when you told students, teachers, here's your curriculum, you have to follow it. Good, I did it. If I didn't agree with it, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I could have gotten fired or reprimanded. But to really, really isolate history as it was is a terrible, terrible thing. And again, most of this is religious oriented, not just political, but religious groups, causing the problem.
Agreed.
Um, yeah,
Oh, there's
and
something I saw today. Apparently, Rhonda uh went behind closed doors overnight with only the NRA in office with him and signed a bill and made it law that anyone,
Yeah.
anyone can conceal carry, fully loaded everything, no
Yeah.
permits, no
Yeah.
permits, nothing. You can
Uh,
go
yeah.
if you're breathing, you can go and buy a weapon, a gun, and
Hmm.
conceal carry, not
Yeah.
open carry, conceal carry.
Hmm.
Anyone
Yeah.
that like, and it's so fascinating when that type of stuff happens. I try to look at it sort of pulled back a little bit, and you really got to think, is someone like this actually that dumb? Like, are they really genuinely that dumb that they're claiming this is for freedom and for rights? Or are they subconsciously self-sabotaging and setting themselves up for failure? Because truly, this is the definition of the dumbest decision you can make,
In
other than to
Florida,
be
he's a
greedy, other than to
in
be greedy.
in Florida, he's a genius. In
Yeah, in
Florida,
Florida, he's a genius because have you seen Florida?
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, there's
it's
20, and Florida's a growing state, and they label what he does uh, as genius.
yes,
Um,
because there's a very particular group of people that label him a genius. There is
yeah,
not a wide array of people, very, very, very particular group of people. And again, I would argue anyone would agree with me in that letting anyone get a gun is a
yeah,
problem. Anyone. Every
yeah,
every single person can get a weapon. Everyone. No
yeah,
permit, zero permit.
yeah.
That
Well, you got it. Yeah.
that to
Well,
me
yeah,
does not sound, first of all, normal, but it sounds like self-sabotage. It sounds like he is subconsciously self-sabotaging because what are you going to gain? What do you think is going to happen if you let everyone get a weapon?
well, you'll
You
get
give
those
everyone
people
a
who believe
weapon. I mean,
you'll
now
get.
we're going to have that's going to start the Civil War. Right there. That's going to start the Civil War
Well, I
if
think
we have
26
one.
states have the same thing. 26 states you're
No,
allowed to.
some of the other states have permits still. The permits are easy to get, but you still have to go through somewhat of a
You
vetting
have to,
process,
yeah, you have
and
to
it
be
has to be
vetted.
open carry.
Yeah, vetted, and
Like
you have to get
that's the difference. That
fingerprinted. You
right,
know,
but that's the difference, right? Like there's a ton of other states that let you open carry, and
yeah,
you still have to get fingerprinted. You still have to go through a permit system. But to my knowledge, Florida is the only state that has made it legal, part of law, that you don't need a permit and you don't like you can just get one. I'll fly there today and go get one.
yeah. There was a statement that people are looking at things that he is doing. Like in regard to the books, in regard to woke and things like that. But no, not enough people are really asking, what have you done? I mean, Florida still, I think, is third from the bottom with teacher salaries. And what have you done as governor, actually done as governor? And with Florida being one of the fastest growing states in the United States, um, I hope he does run for president and loses, and then somebody with a good initiative comes to Florida. But unfortunately, uh, I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I don't know what is going to happen. I just don't want to see city, state, and federal control over my life. I really don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And, older people than me, and people my age have said to me, Al, be quiet. Don't stir up anything. Don't stir it up. You don't, your face is on there, even though you don't have a great following. Your face is on there. Don't say anything. I mean, what are you going to achieve? Well, if one person agrees with me and talks to a second person and agrees with you, and a third person and a fourth person, and they, even if they're not watching our video, it, brings some controversy. I mean, I'm waiting to see what happens in the next election when we're told that the dollar is worth bupkis.
Oh yeah,
Bupkis,
because China and uh there's another
well,
country
yeah, well, China and
that just
the World Bank and a lot of countries
there
are,
was a country, I forget which country, might be India. The I don't think it's India. It might be. Whichever one uses rupees. I just read an article about how China and them pulled from America because they're like whatever country I was thinking about that uses rupees. I know there's a few of them, but there was one particular one. They're pulling back from America and they're going to use rupees from now on to pay for oil. And China's pulling back and they're going to use their money too. Uh, yeah,
yeah,
it's super, super interesting. And to make a comment about the whole, well, your face is on it. First off, my face is fucking everywhere. My TikToks are ridiculous. Um, which by all means, if you're listening to this, and you want to go see my TikTok, it's Peter's Brain Folds. One word. Um,
and I'm
but
here.
yeah, but we are at a time where I mean, I guess it's not even we're at a time. It's one of those things where what I'm advocating for is peace, love, and neutral acceptance across the board. I want everyone to have healthcare. I want everyone to have access to, um, I mean, arguably, there's this conversation about everyone should have food and shelter and healthcare. Um, but that's a whole separate conversation. But I think everyone should have access to education. Everyone should have the opportunity to enter the fields they want. Um, Everyone should be able to marry whoever the hell they want. Everyone should be able to have the abortions that they want or the sex changes that they want.
That's
Um,
right.
Not, for
Let me
free, for free or
Peter,
for a pay, whatever. I don't care. But like
before I forget,
that's what. Go ahead.
before I forget, because I forget. And now to have a law that they're trying to pass that young children can't have any alterations, even with the
Oh yeah,
approval of their parents,
yeah,
because they're too young and their parents may not be educated enough in the matter. And then when they get older, they may regret it.
yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Um,
Ridiculous.
it's all ridiculous and it's all religiously based. It's not just like an opinion. It's based off of their version of their religion. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm advocating for everyone to have the right to do what they want and a system that works, right? Not only a system that works, but a system that works to help everyone actively and
Mm.
genuinely, not like certain types of people or whatever. And I'm not looking to make the playing field 100% even and everyone gets the equal amount of money. No, no, not no, because some people are more important and their things are everyone's important in the society, but there are certain aspects and certain things that require special things, like being a
Mm.
doctor. A doctor versus a janitor. Both are important. Without a janitor, we would have very dirty schools. That's the whole point, is to keep them clean and healthy so that you're not breathing in garbage and getting sick. So by all means, janitors are very important. But I would rank a doctor or a surgeon above a janitor. So there's different aspects to it. But what I'm advocating for is the peace, love, and prosperity of those around me. And that's what I'm trying to do. So anyone who's coming at me and going, oh, but your face is on this. Yeah, I'm advocating for what I believe in.
Yeah, like
Are
as
you
I am.
right? So, but that's my point in making a comment towards that is advocating for what you believe in and also being open to talking about it, changing your mind if you are proven wrong, and
Mhm.
discussing it. and not just doing what a very specific demographic is doing, which is shutting everyone out and going, no, I'm correct, and
Well, you
making
know,
delusions based off of non-existent beings.
let's look at our country, 50 states, and why I'm centering in.
50, isn't it 51 technically?
What are you counting? Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico's not a state.
No, 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 no. I thought it was 50. This is how bad at geography I am. I could do all the other ones. Geography, fuck no.
Maybe I'm
I thought there
wrong.
was
I don't know.
51.
I don't know. I'm sure it was 50, but maybe I'm having a senior moment. But let's just look at each state
I guess it's
as
50. I thought there was like a technical 51st.
as
Whatever. Anyways,
as
I'm being too analytical. Go ahead.
yeah. But let's look at each state as a separate entity. So many years, Texas has said they want to become a separate country. They would become a separate country.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Uh, we have uh, places like Arkansas and Mississippi. Um, eh, as a state, low on the totem pole. But I see each state, and I'm zeroing on Florida, where people will go, we are great. I see it as being a rash that can spread. And that's what bothers me. And it's my rash, because I live here. Um, Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody will tell me, Al, you are wrong in everything you're saying. But what I see and what is being done on Rhonda is incorrect. And if this rash spreads to other states, we're in trouble. So
Agreed.
Florida
Agreed.
right now under my uh, uh, auspices is a rash. I look at it as a rash, and it bothers me terribly. And
Agreed.
if it was 20 some odd years ago when I first moved down here, and it was like this, I would not have moved here. I would not
Yeah.
have moved here. You know, but
Well, it is what it is, and it's one of those things. I think the most important thing that both sides are having an issue with, because I'm not going to sit here and say one side is awful and the other side's good. Both fucking sides are a mess. Um,
but
because, but like at the end of the day, people, at the end of the day, the most important thing that I think everyone is lacking, everyone, some more than others, but everyone, is the ability to do a few things. Listen, say that you're wrong, and go for a common goal. Because
not
realistically, there's so
not
many
even
people on both sides, extremist and not, that have similar goals, but they're just doing it through some god awful means.
yeah, not
Some
even
want,
saying you're wrong, just being able to say what you think. I mean,
well, no, but
I'm
what I'm
lucky.
saying is, what I'm saying is being able to admit you're wrong. Because there's
Yeah,
too many
yeah,
people out there that get very delusional, and they've created a story in their head, and
right,
that's the one that's correct when there's factual evidence that there's other things that are correct. So being able
right.
to admit that you're wrong in a healthy environment is important. And I think those aspects are things that we are missing.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
what I'm lucky about, even with me saying there's a rash here, I live in paradise because I live next to wonderful neighbors, even though they may have different viewpoints than me, but they're wonderful people. And I live by the beach in a secluded area. And, where I am, I shouldn't have anything to complain about because I don't have children going to school, and I don't. I'm not watching anybody in my family get pregnant at the moment, and
well, but that's
I,
the thing. You
you
don't,
know,
just because you don't have these issues doesn't mean you can't partake in them, and doesn't mean you
right,
can't agree with them. That's
yeah,
I think one of the common things as well is I see a lot of people who go, "Oh, well, you're in a very privileged area. Why are
yeah,
you so against it?" It's like, because you can still recognize that something's wrong. The house can be burning, and I don't need to be inside the house to know that it's burning.
Yeah, rashes
You
spread.
know, I can be the neighbor. I can be the guy across the street who sees that the house is burning, go, we need to put the fire out.
Yeah,
So,
rashes spread. That's the problem.
yeah. So,
So
what,
anyway,
whatever.
we will see what happens with the city, state, and federal government and religious groups and these politicians who think they're speaking with God or want to be God. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
we shall
You
see.
know,
Um, Before we close out, I wanted to give a quick thing. I forgot to say it at the beginning. Update on my skin. I've taken 2 shots now. After the battle with insurance and all that, I've taken my second shot, and it's been, I think, a total of 5 weeks that I have been on this medication. Um, I lied. 6 weeks. No, 5 weeks. Today's the fifth. Yeah. It's been just under 5 weeks that I've been on this medication. Um, my eyes, around my eyes, completely cleared up. My forehead is almost cleared up. I used to have very bad dandruff because I had psoriasis all on my scalp, almost completely gone. And everything else on my body is very thin. It used to be very plaque, thick skin. It's super thin, and the color is starting to fade because it's usually very red. Um, it's starting to fade and turn more into my normal skin tone. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The progress that I'm seeing in the past 5 weeks, I thought wasn't going to come for 4 months. So I am amazed
fantastic.
and very, very happy, and just wanted to further the update on all of my skin stuff. It's going very well, and I'm very, very happy about it. I highly recommend for anyone who has psoriasis to a significant degree. Skyrizi is
Fantastic.
solid. So,
Okay, and I would
uh,
like to give an update on my health too.
yeah,
I am taking very very dear medicine for my condition, and it's keeping me alive. I'm not croaking yet because if I croak, then you're going to have to do the podcast, differently. You're going to have a different title if I croak. You know what I mean? I'm
I'll make a
really
second podcast, and it'll be talking with my grandfather after he croaks, and I'll get a Ouija board, and I'll speak to
uh,
you from the other
that's
side.
that sounds good. And I am going to be 70. I am going to be 79 years old shortly, and my skin is like a baby's ass. It doesn't need to take any medicine to clear up.
Don't talk to me.
It's
Don't.
inside my body that's screwed up. That's all.
Yeah.
But
We
but
could talk about that the
otherwise,
next podcast. We could talk about that the next I
yeah,
don't talk to me about that damn razor that you got. I don't want to hear it. That
yeah,
freaking razor.
like a
Ugh,
baby's ass. And I
awful.
am wearing I for those of you who are not watching this podcast, I am wearing a pink shirt and a pink baseball hat. And I'm not going to say I'm pretty in pink. I am
You could be pretty
handsome
in
in pink.
pink.
Oh yeah,
No,
that's
you could
right.
be pretty in pink. Hell yeah.
Yeah, just a little joke. Okay,
Ridiculous. Yeah.
nobody's laughing. Okay,
I'm
well,
laughing.
you're gonna
They're,
end it.
they're laughing. They're laughing. Laugh, laugh.
Okay, good.
Giggle a little bit. There we go. Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right. We'll see you in the next one. Uh,
Yes, have a happy holiday, everybody. Whether it's
yes,
Passover or whether it's Easter or whatever one you want to have.
agreed. Whatever holiday it is, if it's no holiday, have a good fucking weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
So, peace out.
Peace out, everybody.